Batby came here from a dying world. We drift through the universe from planet to planet, discussing media without concern for spoilers. We discuss and we surmise. Function of life is to spoil. This Spooktober, Beauty and the Beast is getting body snatched. If you enjoy what we do, please leave us a like or join the discussion in the comments or at our Discord. My name is Drew, and he knows all there is to know about the crying game. Devin?
I got nothing.
Today we'll be discussing 2007's comedy horror, Slither. So, Devin, was this movie everything you thought it would be, or did it go up in flames?
I don't know what it was with this movie. It didn't tickle my brain as well as I thought it would.
I mean I didn't know anything about it. I just started watching it, so I didn't know who directed it. I didn't know who was in it, but like, it came up with the, what was it, Universal?
Yeah.
And I'm like, oh, my glasses are a bit dirty, so I took them off to clean them. And then I start hearing a voice, and I'm like, wait a minute. Why do I recognize that voice? It was Nathan Fillion?
Man, it's almost like we spent 17 episodes.
I was like, what? Yeah.
Wait.
And we had a bunch of people too, right?
Oh yeah. Elizabeth Banks and
what's his face? Michael Rooker.
Yeah.
I always forget. Even Rob Zombie. And it was written and directed by James Gunn. So like, if I knew these things ahead of time, I would have been like, oh, there's so much promise here.
Yeah.
Like, this is gonna be like cult classic territory. But this is no Wolf Cop.
Yeah, that's so I knew it was James Gunn. I knew it was Nathan Fillion. I forgot the rest, but so I'm like, no, this should be a good time. And I mean, it's James Gunn. His movies are generally, pretty good, pretty entertaining. Like, I mean, even going back to things like Scooby Doo, if you want to go way back.
Wait, did he do the live action Scooby Doo?
Yeah, I did. I think so. I think it's a live action one.
Such a good movie.
Yeah, he did the live action one.
So I'm trying to.
He did Dawn of the, he wrote those ones. Wrote Dawn of the Dead.
I mean, this isn't like. I mean, that being said, the 2000 we both know how much I like the 2004 Dawn of the Dead movie.
Yeah,
because I was into zombies before they had their resurgence.
yeah.
I mean, it's not hard to see that he'd come out with something like this with like 13th Ghosts or 13 Ghosts in his catalog here.
Yeah, I mean, but it means again, people think Guardian of the Galaxy, like the Suicide Squad, which is actually good. But I think the biggest definition, that the word that kept coming to my head while I was watching this film was, this is way too stiff. We've got these people who are generally pretty funny. Elizabeth Banks is pretty funny. Nathan Fillion, Rooker, and there was just no chemistry anywhere.
I mean, that's very true. Like, the only reason why, the only reason why Nathan Fillion's character is like interested in Elizabeth Banks' character is because they actually say it. Like, for all we know, they could have been like brother, sister, cousins.
Yeah.
It's Obviously not the best portrayal of anything, and is definitely not the best writing.
Yeah.
This I mean, this movie is thoroughly B.
Oh yeah.
I'm not saying that, like, a B movie won't have chemistry between actors, but
I think it stands out more because these actors have a lot of charisma, and you see their chemistry in a lot of other films. So I think that's why it felt weird. It's like
Mhm.
I expected them to be able to, I don't know, riff off each other better, or but yeah, it was rough, especially the first half of the movie. I found the first half of the movie
Well,
mid at best.
the problem is, like, the first half of the movie made sense compared to the second half of the movie.
Yeah, but I didn't mind it not making sense. It's like, okay, no, this is because again, now it's started leaning into its B, and now it's just the monsters and and dealing with that. The first half I felt was like there was no lead up, no suspense. There was nothing to build. I think I noted it didn't have the 20 minutes with jerks that is generally needed in horror films.
Mhm.
Um, it's just like it all just kind of happened. Like to the point where there wasn't even a questioning of Rooker's character uh being changed. Like it was called out immediately. I can't remember. I was watching The Boys and uh the latest season, and there's a character that's a shapeshifter, and she pulls memories as well. So she is very good at mimicking people.
Mhm.
And it looks like the like he doesn't immediately pick up on that it's not her. It doesn't tell us, right? The audience knows,
Yeah.
but doesn't tell us he knows. But then it just goes to scenes like, yeah, she the first night, yeah, I didn't know, but then there was just like the next day, it's like, you want to know how I knew it wasn't you? Because she found the keys right away. Right, like those little types of subtleties. Everything else can be perfect, but those are the types of things that you really have. And it was so obvious that it called right away. It's like, I don't know, half the fun of a body snatcher movie is who's been body snatched.
It's true, and there were so kinda going back to freaking their names are just wait, was his name really just Grant?
Yes.
Uh, so going back, to Grant, like, you're 100% correct. So his his line from just being kind of like a well-off, lecherous dude to being some alien overmind blob pile, um, was almost completely linear.
Yeah.
As soon as he got stung, it was like a 45-degree angle, and there was no hiding. Like, Starla was fooled for what, 20 minutes of the movie?
If
Yeah, it was even less than that. Like, in our time, it was maybe like 5 or 6 minutes because it was like, "Oh, his head looks weird," so the next day, she, like, calls the doctor.
yeah.
I mean, at this point, we should be seeing other people acting kinda weird too, right?
Yeah.
And that's actually what kinda bugged me about, like, the slug creatures. They're all released at once. There was no ramping up of it.
No, turned it into a zombie movie instead.
Yeah.
I think what I'm left with is like, I don't it's one of those things where I'm wondering if if there was if there was something else this was based on that
Mm.
I don't know, and I'm missing that lore. Like I found the same thing with another body snatcher one. Uh, was it was the last film in the Cornetto trilogy, World's End?
Yeah.
It was the same thing. It's like I I, I got that it was referencing something. I just wasn't familiar enough to know what it was referencing to get exactly what they were going for. And like in the back of my mind, I'm wondering, is there something like that here? And there's more of a scream aspect to it that I'm just not aware of. Um,
No, I don't think
like,
so. I really I really don't think so.
yeah, yeah, yeah. It's just, I don't know.
There's no hints to it. I haven't heard anything about that.
Yeah,
Um, Strangely enough, I actually went, "Is there a Slither 2?"
but
Because I'm interested in seeing how terrible that movie would be.
it is one of those things where I could see it being. Maybe it'd be another situation like Species.
Mm, well, I was actually gonna broach the topic of Species. I don't wanna hang on it too long, but, like, the way Starla was dressed and how her hair was, like, really evoked some, like, Syl feelings for me at the end there.
Oh, I thought that too.
I was like, it's like you took little components of everything and then just, like, tried to make a movie about it.
Yep.
We talk about missing the mark, but I don't think this was even thrown in the direction of the target. Um,
That is a very good way to put that.
so kind of focusing on Grant because we talked about him a little bit. The only the only good piece of writing in this, I feel, was when Grant goes up to the shower and his like chest tentacles, his chesticles, um, um, are like doing their thing, and he's like, I'm totally gonna fill this lady with my alien baby, ziz. Um, and he stopped himself. So
Mm,
at least there was like they kept some concept of there being something redeemable within Grant. Because it's not like they portrayed him in the greatest way, but he didn't seem like the worst person in the world.
well, I actually found that interesting because, like, I think they were. I almost got the idea it's like they're trying to make him out to be a bad dude, but it's like he really isn't. It's like, okay, so he's a bit frustrated because Starla's not interested. So he goes and so he goes out to the karaoke and has you know the the newer model show up, and even though they're drunk and in the forest and something could have happened, he's like, nope. Like I think it was portrayed well enough that's like, no, he actually cares about Starla. They're
That's
having
it. Yeah.
issues, and
Like getting to the real world. Like I've been in similar circumstances. There's a point like, oh no, we're just like we're hanging out. We're going from point A to point B. It's like, oh wait, what are you doing?
yeah,
Like it's not unheard of for it. It's not like they shot a scene where they were exiting the bar and he grabbed her ass, like, he was trying to break himself off a piece of that, or
yeah.
whatever he would say. I doubt he would say that, because honestly, Grant doesn't seem like that terrible a person.
No, he really doesn't. But I think they wanted us to think he was a little bit, and
Well, just so he wouldn't care about what happens to him, right?
yeah,
I mean, they tried to create up this facade, like, Starla was only with him because he had money, but she didn't seem to be that quality of person either.
yeah.
So were we being subverted somehow? Because if we were, it stopped there.
You know, I would like to say we were being subverted, but and I try to defend a lot of things, and
Not as many things as I try to defend.
yeah, that's fair. You still defend the little hours.
I've never once still defended the little hours.
I don't know. You told Ashley she'd love it.
Well, I mean, she likes Strange Wilderness.
That's very valid. But it's no. This was just I hands down. I think this was just bad writing.
Oh,
Like,
100%.
I don't think he. I don't think he knew what he's doing. I don't think there was actually a good. Like, I don't think he actually had the through line. I get the impression that he wanted to make a B movie, but that a lot of these B movies still have something more there. And you didn't stylize it enough to be a B movie. Like maybe something like that would have helped. Like if they had actually stylized it, played up the camp more.
Do you think they had some, like, they just had some people lined up and then he was like, I want to make a B movie, and he just kind of like winged it?
I mean, it's possible. Yeah, I could kind of see that as a possibility. It's I'd have to think on that a little bit.
Yeah. Well, like, it's not even like the writing as far as characterization of people. Like, I have my problems with that. But just straight up tell me, what was Kylie's purpose?
Oh,
Where'd she come from?
where did she go?
Well, exactly. Like,
Kylie was the daughter, right?
yeah, the daughter that
Yeah.
just like showed up in the last third of the movie, and like, I had a point during this movie where I went, did they only bring her in because they wanted to do like B movie topless chick trope, but Elizabeth Banks wouldn't do
So I've actually got a different theory.
it?
Um, well, shoot. First of all, it was super awkward with that again that B movie trope. It's like I don't know, you've made her out to be way too young for this. Uh, I'm not liking it. Um, just throwing that out there right away. Um, the only chemistry I saw was the bit between her and Nathan Fillion.
Actually,
I honestly think they're like, something isn't working here. And it's also about the point where I'm like, hey, this part of the movie got better.
yeah, if the movie was more like the police scene, like the police station scene with Kylie and Bill and the zombie deer and like our classic Fillionism.
It's such a Fillionism.
Like, but when I tell it, I'll be the one who saved you. It's like,
Tell her about the deer.
I mean, this is what we expect. Like, if I want to see that movie.
Right? Like there were definitely moments like I did like some of the again there was Fillionisms that did it. It's like when they're talking about the squid in the police station and and stuff like that. It's like this stuff is good. This is some of the charm that I'm expecting to see throughout the film.
Mhm.
And that just made it worse.
I just I didn't care about anybody in this film. They spent more time talking about Grant to the point where, like, Grant is the person that I was concerned for the most. And I'm not saying he's, I'm identifying with him. I'm saying that the others were
Grant had a character.
yeah.
I felt the same way.
Nathan Fillion was less funny Nathan Fillion.
Yep.
Elizabeth Banks,
Wasn't even Elizabeth Banks.
I mean, I guess
She was that blonde character that that was in all those Adam Sandler movies.
wait, was she though?
No, I don't think so. Look, I just listened to the podcast yesterday, okay? It's in my head again.
Pretty good cast.
It was a pretty good cast.
There's like a standard Ashley cast. There was at least 17 minutes that hit the floor.
Oh, yeah, no, I remember some of those conversations, like but at least they were all together and I didn't have to, like, straight up say, it's like, "I'm sorry, Drew."
We remain focused. I'll give this movie. I'll give Slither one thing. I thought it was funnier than Strange Wilderness.
I agree.
I actually had some gu- guffaws, chuckles,
Yeah, no,
chortle.
there were some legit, not full on belly laughs, but there was tell her about the deer.
I think it, I can't remember which point it was, but I did have like a straight up loud ha.
I know that happened. Uh, that did happen to me with the anticlimax of the grenade.
Mm, that was it. That was it. That was definitely it.
That was so good. As soon as I saw the grenade, I just wrote down, "Sure wish he brought those grenades." um,
This movie should have definitely went with the slapstick.
I think that's what it needed. Like, so I think that's part of the feeling I had. I think you have the cast to slapstick, and I mean that works for a lot of B movies, even if unintentionally slapstick are there. I think of like Evil Dead.
Hmm.
Um, like the first Evil Dead was not meant to be a comedy, and you definitely feel it in Evil Dead 2 when they start leaning into it.
Hmm.
Um, so it almost felt like they were trying to not do that. And
I wonder if they just like got to a point near the end where they're just like, "F it, we give up."
mm, that could be. That very well could be.
Just all right. We've had our topless chick. Okay, time for zombie deer stomping on Nathan Fillion in a pitch black police station.
It was so good. I want that movie. Hey, there's yeah, it needed to be more slapstick.
There's too many disparate concepts, right? Like this. It would have been nice to see, as you said before, or at least alluded to, that kind of like who is, who isn't body snatched,
Mhm.
and then actually seeing people as they slowly transition into this hive mind.
Yes.
But we didn't get any of that.
No.
The only thing we got was a ginormous ball of a woman exploding into like a zillion slugs.
So let's go with that then. So how did you feel they did with the body horror?
Uh, the one guy who got his head blown off by the shotgun was good. But other than that, it was like it felt like their choices were made because they had such a small budget.
Hmm.
They didn't like try to try to push it or do like go for cheap practical effects.
Hmm.
Instead, they were just like, put this thing in your mouth and then you die.
Yeah. Yeah, that was pretty similar to what I was like too. It's like, I don't know, the way you're going with this should have had body horror throughout.
Mhm.
And I mean, there were some things that kind of did it. Like, I think it was like with the bodies kind of like merging into Grant.
Yeah.
Like, I think that was done pretty well. But yeah, it feels like there was a lot of dropped balls, I guess. Like, I think that's exactly it. It's like just a budget thing. They're like, yeah. Um,
I just, yeah. The I did have a worrisome moment when the slug was in the bathtub with Kylie.
yeah.
The way
Yep.
that I was like,
Yep.
don't do it. Don't. You're not that kind of movie.
Yep. That is exactly what I thought too.
Not that kind of movie, but and you don't even know what kind of movie you are. Um, I mean, it's hard to say I was disappointed. I knew the movie was gonna be bad.
I knew it was going to be bad, but again, I was expecting it to be that purposefully good bad,
Mhm.
right? And I think that's really where I'm more disappointed with this. It's like I was not expecting a masterpiece, and I don't think anyone was. But I mean, again, it just comes back to this, like you've got this cast that can work. Just it almost felt like I wanted to go. It's like just give them a loose idea and let them play with it.
Yeah.
Like that's what this should have been. And again, play up the camp. That's I think some camp would have made up for all of the lack of chemistry.
Yeah, when you can't chem, then camp.
Yep.
I like it. That
Yeah.
makes sense to me.
Yeah.
And at least having some chemistry would kind of like help gloss over some of the more gaping holes in things like the writing, this fact that the situation doesn't make sense, how there's no um what's the word I'm looking for? Suspense.
Yeah.
You're not worried about like when's Grant gonna come out of the woodwork? He could happen at any minute.
Yep. And then like the couple of things they have for suspense just like opened up like so many fucking questions in my mind. Wow, I just swore I haven't done that in the podcast in ages. um like the locked basement. Like,
Yeah,
cool, we can have some suspense here. We know there's the missing girl, et cetera, right?
yeah,
We at this point don't know what's happened to her. And then they break in, and I'm like the second it's there, you just hear flies and such. I'm like, okay, it's a movie. Sure, you didn't smell it. I'll allow it.
yeah.
But then, like, not too long after that, like they're like 100 yards away from the shed that has that same type of gore in it for less time, and they smell it immediately. It is this
Yeah.
weirdest gap, and it's just like this is what should be. You just phoned it in.
It's weird when a movie would have been better if they had just phoned it in.
Yeah,
Because there's at least some type of care that was given to this movie, it feels like, at least.
it does, and I actually feel bad about feeling so bad about this movie.
I mean, it had the makings of being something pretty decent.
Yeah,
It makes me wonder if this is like the film Nathan Fillion doesn't talk about.
yeah, I could see that. I mean, I'm just trying to think. It's like it's not exactly like it's a movie that I've heard a lot about. um,
I did end up leaving this film at the end being like, I can't believe you've done this to me.
I can. uh, yeah, and I don't even know how to fix it.
Well,
Like some.
that's what I was just thinking, because like sometimes we'll theorize what is the smallest thing that we can do to fix it. Um, in this case, most of it has to be replaced. Needs a complete reevaluation. It either needs to go full-fledged into the body snatchers thing, or it needs to go full-fledged into the slapstick.
Mm,
Um, there needs there needs to be more of a ramp of suspense, and especially when it comes to the transformation of Grant. And oh, Grant was left alone with the police dispatcher. Is she wormoid now?
yes. Okay, so
Um,
I think you want to know what I actually. Okay, here's the smallest change that I can do. It's still a decent amount of shuffling, but
Press play on a different movie.
well, that too. Um, so get rid of Starla altogether.
Okay.
Just you merge Starla and Kylie and have Grant be Kylie's
So
father instead.
okay.
And you can probably keep most of the through line uh, similar there.
Yeah.
I mean, obviously, a little bit of the a little bit of Grant's motivations are clearly going to change by not, killing Starla, but not killing Kylie because it's his kid or something. I
Yeah.
mean, I think you could do that fairly easily. I think that would make her character not show up out of nowhere. Essentially, uh, it would get rid of. I really think Elizabeth Banks. I guess none of them played well off of her,
Yeah.
but they were playing well off of the person who played Kylie.
Mhm.
So I think, I mean, I guess we didn't really get to see Kylie and Grant interact much, but I think even just knowing that now it's a reason for Nathan Fillion and Kylie um, being together more would push it along.
Mhm. And then you can have like an overbearing, overprotective dad, and then all of a sudden, like him acting weird towards Bill Party isn't out of the question because he's always been like that to Bill.
Yeah,
Instead, and Bill's always like, I don't like your daddy's a jerk, etc.
yeah.
Um, yeah, I like this. I like this.
I, I I think that would do it.
Definitely introduce Kylie like as if she's not a 15 or 16-year-old girl. That'd
Yep,
be good too.
yep. That's. I guess that is a caveat that's there. Make her
Adult
a
child.
college student back, like a college student that came back or something, right? Like
Mm.
just
Well, I mean,
something there.
If Grant Grant's wealthy, it's like it's not weird for parents still be with their parents, especially if they have money, right?
Yeah, yeah, and yeah, I really think that that would have fixed a lot of the issues and
I would have liked
almost
that,
all of
like
the.
a romantic tension between like the boy who stayed behind and his like unrequited who came back to visit from college.
Yeah,
Then the overprotective father, Michael Rooker in this case, who's Grant, and yeah, he gets taken over, and then you have situations where he's slowly like changing people in the village.
Yeah. You can hide it a bit, but you can hide his personality changes. You don't need to hide them from the audience as much because, again, she's been gone for a bit. You know what those colleges do to kids.
Mhm.
So of course she's like, and there'd be a reason for her writing off weird behaviors and right. Like even again, we said, um, Bill would have reasons too because what you doing with my daughter?
Yeah.
Like,
Well, this is the thing. Like, I think in a typical body snatcher movie, um, they at least try to make a reason for events in the movie. Take, for
mm,
instance, it's the start of hunting season, has no bearing on the film.
yeah,
They they could have just been like, "We're having a hoedown at the barn," or it's like mutual friends' retirement or birthday, and then they go there and they dance and whatever, reconnect. But the fact that it was hunting season had no such l it had no bearing on the film, and it could have been like an integral scene, like, people are coming from out of town to do hunting in the area. Um, where are these hunters going?
mm,
Where are they disappearing to?
yeah,
Um, like, they did such a half-hearted attempt at, like, a survival of the fittest, who is the most fit kinda
mm,
situation, and it was so poorly processed. It was, like, so poorly attached to the movie, it's like a Band-Aid with really poor adhesive that just falls off after, like, an hour.
they tried to put the survival of the fittest in so hard. It's like, why? Or, or another thing they could have done with the hunting season too. It's like, I don't know, maybe not have everyone but 4 people get taken over. I don't know. There's a bunch of hunters. You've got the makings of the zombies now that the body snatching has happened.
Mhm.
I don't know. There sounds like there's a couple scenes there that could be really interesting.
Well, that's the thing, like, we have hunters, we found that something um, implicating Grant in some type of homicide, but he's disappeared and we know he's in the forest, so we gather up these people and we do a manhunt, and that's, like, coming towards the climax of the film, and then it turns out the people in the manhunt are kinda turning on each other, and, like, it's there were so many ideas in this film, they were so disparate and they were so half-hearted.
Yeah.
There's the only thing that worked in this film was, like, that they tried to do. I can't think of a single thing because it doesn't make sense that random "How old is this girl?" Has better chemistry with freaking the male protagonist, when the male protagonist has no chemistry with the female protagonist who who's the unrequited. They tried to make Grant to be some type of asshole, and he's not sympathetic, but he is the most sympathetic character in the entire film.
Yep.
He's not at all. The the only thing they did well is, like, you didn't like Jack McCready.
Yeah. Yep.
That's about it.
Yep.
The only time you ever questions who is a body snatched person or not was Jack McCready at the end
Yeah.
when he, like, lit the lighter, and it was like, "Oh, he's normal, but he's surrounded by all these other people. Why aren't they eating him?" And then he goes and starts eating a body. Like, that's the most mystery you have in the entire
Oh,
film.
I love that. That's what we should have had a lot more of. Right? I, I don't know. Again, you missed the mark. Like I'm actually like 'cause I'm curious, like what else was Kylie in? And I'm looking at this and it's like literally I've been in an episode of this one of a show here and an episode of a show here. That is the extent of her acting elsewise, and she had better chemistry. She was more interesting.
Correct. It's
Like she's got
like,
great roles like Kissing Girl and Attendant 1.
I mean, I would attend to kissing that girl or something. Hey,
Hey.
the series, like the progression of events, didn't make sense. Didn't hit anything. The like, there was no reason for Nathan Fillion to even be a cop.
No, didn't need it at all.
Yeah, like all it did was give him access to the grenade.
Yeah. Oh, that's another thing that did give me a chuckle.
But
Oh no, she packs box lunches.
yeah, is that some like early 2000s slang I didn't get? Like apparently it means she's into ladies. But like I've
It
never
is
heard that terminology
it is
before.
not a slang that I've heard before, but I've
But you're
heard
gonna use it from now on.
I was like, I understand like the box part.
Yes.
And I'm like, nope, that's enough. That worked. I have no idea where it came from. Are you
Uh,
seeing if it's 2000 slang?
oh, slang's the worst. Oh, it was bad back in like the early aughts. Like,
Yeah.
yeah.
Oh,
Uh, I mean, this movie can't even make me sad because I didn't expect a good movie, but I expected something that was at least a B movie. The problem is it's not a C movie, right?
yeah.
So it's not like the whole like James Gunn trauma verse, like or Tromeo and trauma stuff, right?
Yeah.
Like it's not C movies,
Yeah.
but it's definitely not a B movie. It's not that well put together. Like,
B minus at best.
so I got a story.
All right.
Uh, we're we're Canadian, so we call our school years by the number of year it is.
Yes.
Um, when I was in grade 11, we had grade 11 English, which is a required course.
Yeah.
If you want to graduate high school, you need to have English 12 when its prerequisite is English 11.
Yeah.
I dropped English 11 in grade 11 because I did not like the teacher or the teaching style.
Yeah.
So I had to take my grade 11 English in grade 12, which is good because I had most of the credits I needed. I really just needed that. So I had a lot of uh, spare
Yeah.
classes, which was great because we were on a experimental system. So having a spare class meant I had half the day off.
Great.
Um, anyways, so we were doing this thing. I got partnered with some like grade 11s, and it was like weird to see a gauge age gap between me and them. But we ended up going back to Buddy's place, and we had to do like a Shakespeare project,
Right.
and we ended up doing a scene of Romeo and Juliet, like at the beginning when it was the Capulets versus the freaking
Montague?
yeah, the Montagues, I think. But we filmed it and it was like gangster style. It
This
was a
sounds
bunch of
familiar.
so we were a bunch of like white kids, me of course being the oldest one there, being like, what the hell are we doing? And we had bandanas on and we had like these Nerf guns and stuff, and we were acting like we were all bad. Um I mean, a lot of that story was just to give you references to what type of film we made. And it's about the same quality as the one I watched here.
I don't know. I was engaged in your story.
You're like, what do you mean? Having a one spare class gives him a whole half a day off? What?
Oh,
I
oh.
mean, I didn't have to tell the age gap stuff too, but I just wanted to pad out the story a bit. At least the padding to my story made a whole lot more sense in context to the end result than the padding of this movie's story.
Yep. And I think if it was just the second half of the film, I think I would have gotten into it more.
But yeah, if the first half of the film had a different ending, and if the ending had a different first half of the film.
Yep. I do wonder. So, which one of you guys watched Baz Luhrmann's version of Romeo and Juliet when you came up with that gangster idea?
I mean, it wasn't my idea. I was just trying to get a passing grade so I could take English 12.
That checks out. Oh, I went to an art school and I didn't do film stuff for my English classes.
I did all sorts of stuff. I did a grade yeah, it was my grade 12 English class. We each had, like, a topic, and we had to do a presentation and a whole essay thing about it,
Yeah,
but I didn't wanna actually talk that much,
checks out.
and I got a decent grade out of it, and I don't know how I did, because it was very poorly edited, but I used my friend's computer. um, I made a music video using the music video of Enrique Iglesias's, Hero. And then I put in, like, snippets of firefighters and police and EMT people, and it was just like, "You can be my hero, baby."
I wonder what your topic was at that time.
Yeah, it was like, "What is a hero?"
Yeah.
And my entire class laughed. It was great.
Good work. I'm proud of you.
And that presentation still made more sense than this film I watched.